And it's our news media and mainstream media's fault. Why? They're not doing their jobs. When our country was formed, we have three branches of government, naturally: legislative, judicial, and executive. The media was supposed to be the unwritten fourth branch. And what was their job? Their job was to watchdog the other three and report to the people what they're doing so that you can stay educated. They're not doing their job today, our media. They're not reporting on the wars we're involved in. You don't see body bags coming home anymore. They learned from Vietnam. Don't show body bags coming home. It might upset the people. Let the people go on with their little daily lives and not worry about the wars. You know, it's troubling to me. I turned 60 this summer. And I started adding up. Well, it's like I always tell young people, remember this: I was what you are, and you'll be what I am if you live that long. But what was troubling to me in turning 60 this summer was I thought back and realized, my God, my country's been at war over 30 of those 60 years. Over half of my life, we have been at war. Imagine the young child born 10 years ago. We've been at war that child's entire existence. He knows no difference. That's what they have got us. And here's the disturbing thing. Do y'all remember the elections of 2010? Where the Republicans swept back into power again? You know what troubled me more than the Republicans sweeping back into power again? And I'm not a Democrat either. What troubled me more, that there wasn't one campaign, there wasn't one debate, there wasn't one thing even said, it wasn't even on the radar screen or talked about, the two wars we're in. You recall? The last election, war was not an issue. Well, they've accomplished what they wanted to do, in my opinion, and I'll tell you what that is. They've got us so accustomed to war now, they can start a third one and we just shrug it off. Oh well, we're in another war. Please read history, and if you can, go back and look at the Roman Empire. We're following the blueprint of the Roman Empire, and Rome fell, didn't it? You don't, okay, who's the economic giant of the world today? China. Do you see China getting involved in any of these wars? Absolutely not. China's worried about their economy and doing business. They're not getting involved in these wars. And also remember this: the only reason what brings us into war is when multinational corporations can rape and pillage and get a profit out of where that war is. Because you know this if you read your history. A genocide took place a number of years ago in a small African country called Rwanda, where literally almost 1 million people were slaughtered with machetes, no less. Not even bullets. They were hacked to death. Well, when I'm in Mexico now, I do a lot of reading. It's nothing for me to read 17 books when I'm down there. In one winter in Mexico, I probably read more books than I did my entire formal education. And I read the book written by the Canadian colonel who was in charge of the NATO forces in Rwanda. And he stated completely that had he simply been given 20,000 troops, he could have stopped the slaughter of nearly 800,000 people. But nobody cared. The United States didn't care. Nobody cared. Why? There was nothing there for multinational corporations to profit from. There's oil in Iraq, there's oil in Libya, and how many people are aware? It was clear to me 6 months ago when a story broke on Afghanistan, and that being an old Vietnam veteran, it made it clear to me why we're also in Afghanistan. And it ain't got nothing to do with catching bin Laden. It don't have nothing to do with fighting the Taliban. That's the stuff they tell you on the news and what they want you to believe. No, They discovered, or they claimed to have just discovered. I always wondered why the Soviets went in there in the 80s. I couldn't figure it out. Afghanistan, I never even heard of it back then. Why would anyone go in there? Well, they claim to have just discovered massive mineral wealth there. Like what? Some Marine was on patrol and tripped over it? Whoa, what do we got here? I better report this back. Including a vein of what they say could be $1 trillion vein of lithium. Now, what is lithium used for? Every cell phone, every computer, and soon-to-be electric cars will require lithium for the batteries. Now, let's be honest. If my government would be honest with me and say, look, we got to go to Afghanistan to go get this lithium so that we can progress forward and get off oil and all of that stuff, and it's imperative for the direction and modern and future and all that, I might sit back and take a different view of it. At least I would assess it and think about it. But when they tell me this garbage, that we're out there to bring them democracy, people that wouldn't know democracy for 10,000 years if it came up and bit them on the ass, we're going to give them democracy. And I got a feeling it's going to backfire. Because if these people are allowed to vote, you might end up with more radical clerics running these countries who will hate the United States worse than what they do right now. And also remember, an interesting thing was told to me the other day about Vietnam. I'll switch gears for a moment. And that was this. There wasn't one Vietnamese who fought in our Civil War. So why did we fight in theirs? And again, many of these things in a way are double-edged swords. We certainly don't want to see genocide. No one wants that, to where some dictator or whatever will literally gun down his own people to remain in power and all that. There should be some type of international intervention there. But also you have to look at it from the other side of the sword, the other edge of the sword. It's their country. So ultimately it's up to their people to determine how they will be governed and all of that. So we're in tough times today, people. I'll tell you this, and I'll finish up then and take questions. I went on TV on Good Morning America earlier, and I stated that if Congressman Ron Paul would quit the Republicans and run again, I would give serious consideration to running with him. Although we might have to flip a coin to see who gets the top job. Because everyone in New York's telling me to do it. But you'll notice in this book that I dedicated it to Congressman Ron Paul. I dedicated it to him because he was the only congressman that had the courage to stand up on the floor of our Congress and make what I thought was one of the greatest speeches I had heard, when he said, WikiLeaks hasn't killed anyone. How many people have been killed over the lies and the intelligence deception that we were given into the Iraq War? And then most importantly, I thought, was when he made the statement that in a supposed free country like ours, when the truth equals treason, when you tell the truth, you can be said that you're a traitor, we're in bad shape. And I can't agree with that more. When the truth becomes treason, we're in bad shape. Think about that a minute. When telling the truth. And then, I'll finish with this then, the reaction. All these people that want to be our next president, from Mike Huckabee to Sarah Palin to down the line, including Hillary Clinton, all of them in there, I couldn't believe when they demanded that this gentleman, Julian Assange, be charged with treason. And I said, wait a minute, I only went to high school. But even I know, don't you have to be a citizen of the country to be charged with treason? You can't charge anyone that's not a citizen with treason. That's crazy. And these people want to be president and they don't even know that. Don't even know that. You know, it's treason. The guy lives in Australia, and I think his website's in Switzerland or something like that, the best I can tell. But we're going to charge him for treason. Shows our arrogance, doesn't it? It shows the arrogance that we've turned into today, that we think we can do things like that. So I've spoken enough now. I'll open up in a moment to questions. Relax. And I would prefer if people could keep them on topic if you can. Don't give me a whole bunch of wrestling questions, because I'll tell you what, I don't watch wrestling anymore. And I haven't watched it since I left it in 1990. That's 21 years ago. So whatever Vince is doing, I have no idea. You know? So if we could keep it on topic, I would greatly appreciate it. And again, thank you for being concerned today. Thank you for coming out. And I hope that you get angry as you read the book and that it inspires you to be active, to be vigilant, and to never, and I'll finish with this, just to let you know that there's some pretty good people that stand with me. Yes, even Jesse the Body has to wear real glasses. I'll finish with this. I want to read you two quotes that we put. Well, first of all, let me explain. The 63 documents, we chose that because that was the year President Kennedy was murdered, 1963. By the way, just showing the media again, here I go, I'm going to talk some more now. I ad-lib just like doing a wrestling interview. How many people watch my show, Conspiracy Theory? Thank you. Well, I'll say this, it looks like we'll be renewed for another year, but you wait. You never say you are until the first check clears the bank. You know, so, but it looks positive at this moment, but they let me this season, we're in our third year if they pick us up again, they let me do John F. Kennedy's murder. We had a confession. Written, oral, and visual confession. E. Howard Hunt of Watergate fame in the CIA confessed to his son, St. John Hunt, and St. John identified his father as being the old tramp in Dealey Plaza, for those of you that are connoisseurs of the Kennedy murder, and if it's not him, he's got a twin. He confesses. He says it was William Harvey of the CIA, who at that time was the head of the Assassinations Unit, and a guy named William, or I should say David Sanchez Morales. And David Sanchez Morales is known for something too. In 1967, he was there when they captured Che Guevara, put him up against a wall and executed him. And Morales used to wear Che's Rolex as a trophy after it happened. No trial, just put him up against the wall, killed him. So again, how come, where was the media? There's no statute of limitation on murder. Here we have a confession to the murder of our 35th president, and it doesn't receive one word in the mainstream media. Not a word. Not a word. You have to be watching my show to know it. Not a word. And I guess, how many saw the great movie Malcolm X with Denzel Washington? Well, I like to quote Malcolm and say, "You've been bamboozled." And that's exactly what the mainstream media is doing to us, people. We've been bamboozled. And we better wake up to it. Now, I'll read these quotes and then we'll go to questions. If they say I'm unpatriotic for doing this and all that, let me quote Patrick Henry, one of our founding fathers, who of course we all know from Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death. Well, he's got another one. The liberties of a people never were, nor ever will be secure, when the transactions of their rulers may be concealed from them.